skin. Chicken heads getting stuffed like olive oil. Only plant the seed deep inside produce soil. Fortified with essential vitamin and minerals.
Hey. Urban Politics is in the building. Welcome to another rousing episode of your favorite political show. I am your host, Phys Ed Music. That right there is the GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. Good song right there, but you're not here for that hip-hop. That is some fresh hip-hop right there. But you're not here for that. You're here for some politics. Same reason I'm here. Welcome. Once again, you see I'm still wearing the Christmas blazer. I can only wear it in this month. So I'm going to wear it every episode. You see me in December, I will be wearing the Christmas blazer. When other time can I wear it? And I actually love it to death. Because you can't really see it in the camera, but do you see what it says? Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. And that's from A Christmas Story with Macaulay Culkin. You know what I'm saying? So, classic Christmas movie. But anyway, moving on. We got a lot to talk about. Let me get right into it like a car and drive. I don't want to hold you too long. Check me out. Let's start off with my dude, Barack Hussein Obama. Love him to death. Everybody know that's my brother from another mother. But this guy gets on TV and he calls defund the police. He said it's a catchy slogan. I'm paraphrasing. He said it's a catchy slogan that pushes people away. I wish he hadn't have said that. Because look, let me tell you something. Defunding the police, that's something that I have supported on this show. And those of you who follow Urban Politics on Instagram and watch this show know that is something that I support and have supported for a long time. Now listen, I'm going to have to break it down the way Barack Obama could have broke it down. He can do a better job than me because he's a better speaker than I am. But he didn't do that. You know what he did? He did what was politically expedient. Let me explain myself. The reason he said that is because defund the police, it does roll off the tongue pretty nice. But it alienates a lot of people because a lot of people hear that and all they think about is you getting rid of the police. No. You know what I'm saying? Defunding the police is not the same as dismantling or getting rid of the police. These are different things. Defunding the police, when I hear defunding the police, I'm hearing take away some of those funds that go to these police departments, some, not all, but some, and allocate it towards other things like housing for beaten and battered women, like mental health counseling, things like that. We can do that. We don't need police departments. I think the New York City Police Department gets like $1.5 billion budget a year. That is ridiculous. They don't need $1.5 billion, ladies and gentlemen. They can do what they're doing for a couple of $100,000, I'm sure. Okay? They don't need $1 billion. So take some of that money and put it into some of these social programs. And that's what people are talking about when they talk about defund the police. But for him to say that it's a catchy slogan that pushes people away, he really belittled the movement. And there's a lot of people who they took offense at that, and I can understand why. I'm gonna tell you why. Just recently here in Columbus, Ohio, there was an officer by the name of Jason Meade, while wrapping up an unsuccessful search for violent suspects, he shot and killed Casey Goodson. Shot him 3 times in the back. Family said he was carrying food. Now let me tell you something. There's a lot more stuff involved with that case. From what I just told you though right there, that lets you know, here we go again. Like Ronald Reagan said, there they go again. Here we go again with this same bullish. We got a young brother, I think he was 23 years old. I think he was with his children, and they said that this incident happened in front of his grandmother and his children. So now we have a 23-year-old black man who was executed by the police in front of his family. Come on now. No weapon. So what's going to happen? He had nothing on, and he was shot in the back. Whenever you shoot a man in the back, that ain't right. You shot him in the back. He wasn't even facing you. So there's that. What's going to happen? They're going to cover tough for this cop. His family will probably get a couple of million out of the deal, and then it'll just go away. I get sick of that. The community is sick of that. You wonder why there's people sitting downtowns all over America, not just here in Columbus, Ohio, but all over America, setting on a blaze because of stuff like this. This is darn ridiculous. That don't make no damn sense, you know, and people are sick of that. So Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, when you say things like that, when you say defund the police is a catchy slogan and it pushes people away, you need to understand that there's people out there who have been touched and mistreated by the police. And this ain't a catchy slogan to them. To them, this is something that we need to ride on because there's a problem out here. Okay? There is systemic racism within policing. We know it. I've been saying it on this show. I've said it ad nauseum on this show. We already know that white supremacists have infiltrated the police department. You know this. I know this. Mr. Obama, you also know this. So don't sit there and say stuff like that. Don't belittle that defund the police movement because real spit, you know it needs to happen like I know it needs to happen. One intelligent brother to another. And that's what's up with that. Anyway, let me move on from that to another thing that y'all probably didn't, it passed you by. It passed me by too. I went to work on December 8th, thought it was just a regular day. December 8th is what they call Safe Harbor Day. You say to yourself, Safe Harbor Day, what is that? Well, let me tell you. Safe Harbor Day is the deadline for all states to settle any and all disputes about the election under federal law. So it's a federal law. By December 8th, if you got a problem with that election, if your state got a problem with that, whatever, it needs to come up, it needs to be handled, you need to figure it out by December 8th. That's the cutoff. Okay, so there's that. Trump's lawyers, they know this. They said that it was no big deal and they was just going to push through it. But secretly, they said that they've been pushing to wrap things up before this date because it is an important date. It's in the Constitution. It's federal law. That by December 8th, you got to have your ish together or it is what it is. Whatever going on is what's going on. The guy say he won or whatever. If you haven't solved your disputes by December 8th, you're done. So they know this, but they said it's going to push through it. But like I said, low-key, they still wanted to just, if we can get it done before this, you know what I'm saying? Because it is a federal law. It is in the Constitution. There's that. Whatever. So they said they're going to push through it or whatever. Now, this law stopped the recount in 2000. Now, in 2000, a lot of y'all lived through that like I did and was heartbroken like I was. Let me tell you, that was something rough to live through, too. My God. When George Bush Jr. ended up winning that election because some hokey stuff was going on in Florida and Al Gore ended up conceding and all of that. The reason Al Gore had to go ahead and concede is because a recount would have took them past that December 8th deadline. So he went ahead and conceded and gave it to George Bush Jr. So that's how important that December 8th deadline, which Trump had never passed. That's how important that deadline is. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? So they said that's what stopped a recount in 2000. Ergo George Bush Jr. got another term. So there's that. So that's something to think about because I'm always thinking about what are some ways that Trump still has to circumvent this thing and still try and make sure that he can be president because this is things that autocrats and dictators try and do. But yeah, don't worry about that. Anyway, moving on. They were saying that Trump he wants electors basically to override the will of the people, arguing not about fraud. They've had like almost 50 some cases, and they keep saying they're not arguing fraud. They're arguing the fact that there's no way that Joe Biden could have got all these votes. And I've seen some different things, in the media and on the internet. They were saying that he's poised to get like up to 80 million votes. Already he's like 70 some million votes. But these boys get like 80 million. And there's no way. There's no way that Joe Biden could have got all those votes. But I'm like, once again, like I said last week on the show, they need to raise their hands and receive it. He lost. He lost in a landslide. Trump, yes, you're that unpopular. No one is surprised that Trump lost by 80 million votes except Trump. I bet people in his camp and who follow him aren't even surprised that he lost by 80 million votes. Dude, you suck. People don't like you. Your personality is not cool. They wouldn't invite you to have a beer with them. Nobody likes you. You lost by 80 million. I'm surprised it wasn't 300 million. You suck. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about how the court finds that Fox News is a licensed entertainment channel and not a news channel. The anchors are not journalists. They are paid actors. My Lord. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. Fox News. I've been watching Fox News for a minute. I remember back when there was only Fox News, and then you would see these commercials that would talk about them, how they were. I just say the powers that be. I don't know who did it or whatever. I'm sure they do research. They probably be like, it's George Soros or somebody like that. But I remember how whatever the powers that be were coming up with MSNBC, and they were talking about how, you know, all these right-wing voices, and then how there'll be some good liberal voices giving that good liberal opinion. And I ain't gonna lie, when I heard that, I kind of took heart, because I mean I am pretty liberal, but man, that Fox News was beating me up, and for a while that's all there was. But then, you know, MSNBC came on the scene and whatnot, and then even now with some of these younger cats, there's a thing I watch called Cheddar News. If you ain't hip to that, get hip to that. Some young, and I'm gonna call them liberal. I don't know if they liberal or not. If I'm wrong, once again, you in the pushback zone. Somebody push back on me, but I think Cheddar News is liberal. Some young guys and gals over there, and I love them. It's good news. But you got more outlets now. There was a time when it was only Fox News, and then you finally got that liberal opinion that people was looking, that I was looking for, right? But then to think about that Fox News, they're not even journalists. They said they're paid actors, which you can believe. There was a case that not Sean Hannity, was it Tucker Carlson had, and I guess that's where he got away with some madness that he was promoting by saying that, you know, no, I'm not a journalist, I'm an actor, and anybody who watches this show watches it knowing that we're actors and these are just opinions and blah, all that. And that's ridiculous. And I don't even know if Fox viewers were paying attention to that or whatever. It's been blown up everywhere. I seen it on TikTok. I seen it on Facebook. I seen it on all these night shows that I watch all the time. So, you know what I'm saying? If you watch Fox News, you should know what I'm saying right now. And if you're within the sound of my voice, shame on you if you still watching it and for anything other than entertainment. Ain't no news there. When I watch Fox News, it's for entertainment. Really it's just to see how, you know, I guess 70-some million Trump supporters are feeling and thinking, because they're still a part of America. But I don't watch it really expecting no news. The one guy on there, was his name, Shepard something, he's gone. He was the real news dude, because he used to hold people's feet to the fire, but you see they got rid of him. He's gone. So it is what it is. There's another guy over there, I forget, was Chris Wallace, I think that's his name. Chris Wallace, he's pretty cool. He kind of be on the level or whatever. Most of them over there are partisan hacks. So Fox News is good for a laugh, and that's about it. Moving on, that is what it is, though. Nobody to tell you them guys was actors, because they are actors. They act like they don't see stuff that's right in front of Jeanine Pirro and some of them other garbage people over there. They always find a garbage brother, usually my complexion, usually looking like me, to spout some conservative BS. Yeah, F Fox News. That's garbage. Anyway, but I still watch it for a good laugh, and like I said, just to see how some of them Rush Limbaugh following idiots are feeling. Anyway, moving on. Still talking about Fox News. Let's talk about Sean Hannity. Says that Americans will regret voting for Biden when they start missing Trump's tweets. Let me say that again, because when I read it, it nearly knocked me off of my stool. This guy gonna talk about Sean Hannity says Americans will regret voting for Biden. We'll have buyer's remorse from Biden when we start missing Trump's tweet. Is there anyone out here among us who will miss Trump's tweets? Yeah, crickets. Nobody's gonna miss Trump's tweets. It's hilarious because I've had conversations with conservatives, you know, Republicans, people who support the man. And you know what they've said? A lot of them, so I'm going to get my tech together. A lot of them have even said to me, they were like, you know what? I'm sick of his tweeting. I just want him to stop tweeting. You know, they're like, if he would stop tweeting or whatever, he could be a good president or whatever. You know, and I'm like, nah, his policies are garbage, because they're Republican policies and a lot of them have been garbage. But if you are a Republican and you dig the policies, I guess you would be like, he'd be cool if he just didn't tweet. But then I'm like, it ain't even necessarily about him tweeting. You know what it's about? It's about him having those views, being misogynistic, being racist, stuff like that. So that's the problem to me with Trump. And I could never miss his tweets. I look forward to a day when our president does not tweet. Okay, that's one of the things they've been talking about. People miss with Obama. He had a Twitter account, but it was boring. He would always tweet mundane stuff that he was doing as a president. You know, went over here to the Naval Squad, da-da-da-da, talked to the troops, da-da-da-da, they're uplifting people, I love them to death, da-da-da, stuff like that. Stuff that was presidential. These presidential tweets. With Biden, we can get back to that. Presidential tweets. These are going to be boring tweets. These are going to be tweets about how I met with the defense secretary today, and he said that we need to embolden our stance in America and be first in battle and protect our allies. Blah, 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 stuff like that. Boring tweets. I look forward to boring tweets. I look forward to it because Trump is off the chain. Okay, and all of us are we got Trump fatigue. We've been tired. We've been tired for 4 years. I think I was tired as soon as he came down the elevator. So, Mr. Hannity, you are wrong. We will not miss Trump. We will not miss the tweets. I can't wait until the day comes to when he fades into obscurity. And it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. You got to give it some time, though. Because the man's got, 74 million followers. So he's going to be around for a little while. But in a minute here, he'll be a nobody. He'll be another person with a bunch of followers. And his followers will dig him or pay attention to him or care about him. But the rest of us won't have to. He won't be president anymore. He'll be going. So have some patience. That's what's good. That's what's good. Moving on. Let's talk about, this is hilarious. Joe Exotic wrote Kim Kardashian a letter and asked her to ask President Trump to pardon him. That right there is 2020 in a nutshell, isn't it? Think about that. When I heard that, that's what I thought. I think that's probably what the person doing, talking about this said that. Doesn't that sum up 2020 in a nutshell? It really does. Joe Exotic wrote Kim Kardashian and asked her to ask President Trump to pardon him. All of this is bananas. Why? This is why it's bananas. If you have not seen the documentary about Joe Exotic and all that, I impress upon you to see it. I've seen some of it, not all of it, but I talked about it on the show, and what I saw of it, I saw enough to let you know them people don't give a damn about these big cats or these lions or whatever that they claim to love and protect. I guess this guy, I don't know, has something to do with somebody's death or something, and Carol Baskin and all this other madness, but this guy writes Kim Kardashian, who does have an in with the president, because he likes taking pictures with her and her husband, Mr. West. So he writes him a letter asking, or he writes her a letter asking her to ask our president, our reality show president, Mr. Trump, who doesn't have bigger fish to fry, 200 and some change thousand dead Americans from the coronavirus. He doesn't have more important things to do. He doesn't have bigger fish to fry than to look at the case of a Joe Exotic and pardon it. And you know what's sad about this is it makes sense because she's gotten some people's pardons. She definitely has the ear of the president. It's sad that our president is so petty and pathetic that famous people who are famous for nothing have his ear. But that's where we're at. We have a reality show president, so all of this is laughable, So it is what it is. That's where we're at. But that is just so. That whole sentence is silly. If someone had said that to you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, you would have laughed in their face. Joe Exotic wrote Kim Kardashian and asked her to ask President Trump to pardon him. That sounds crazy. It is crazy. Those are the times that we live in. Welcome to 2020. Anyway, moving on to my last point. Last point. Check this out. I want to talk about something that is truly sad. Housing. Housing in America. Let me kick some statistics. Check this out. 19 million people are due to lose their homes December 31st. That's when the moratorium on rents and mortgages runs out. So we got like 19 million Americans who are poised to lose their homes. In 2016, we had 3.7 million evictions, which is the equivalent of 7 evictions a minute. That's a lot of evictions. Now, that was going on in 2016, which lets you know this has been a problem for a while. So I'm not blaming Trump on that, blaming this on Trump. A lot of stuff I blame Trump for, but I can't blame this on Trump. This was going on, like I said, in 2016. I don't blame this guy either, because housing Believe it or not, that had nothing to do with the president. Housing rates are what they are. A lot of stuff is baked in that cake or whatnot. So it is what it is. But these are just some interesting numbers to think about when you think about the fact that we pay so much for housing and what the housing industry, you know what I'm saying, is doing as far as pricing and stuff like that. Moving on, check me out. So the U.S. averages 3.6 million evictions a year. Most times, most people are evicted over $600. That is sad to think. That's a whole lot of people who are out on the streets over $600. That's not a lot of money. You know, so I was talking to somebody and they said to me, well, heck, that's about rent, ain't it? So is that a month's rent? And that's a good thing to think about. Now, most times when you live somewhere, they'll give you, and unfortunately, I know this from experience, they'll give you, 2, 3, maybe 4 months up to not paying no rent before they start wanting to take you to court and do all that type of saucy stuff. But here they're saying it's only over $600. So that means there's a lot of people who get up to that point and it's still only about $600 that ends up getting them thrown out on the street. That just shows you how bad it is when we have wages that are stagnant and stuff like that. This is how it affects people, because $600 is not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's obviously the only money that's standing between people living in a warm home and living on the streets. So 45 million people are below the poverty line, and only 1 in 4 get assistance. You might ask yourself why that is. I've been in social service, been working in social service probably all of my adult life. And I'm going to tell you, the poverty line is like $11,000 a year. Well, that's ridiculous. You could not live on $11,000 a year. But that's what they're saying. If you're a family of one person, you have to be making under $11,000 a year to qualify for anything. That's why most times, whenever you see people taking advantage of social service or getting social service, it has to be somebody who has nothing. You gotta have nothing. A lot of times you have to have nothing or pretty much or almost nothing for them to give you any help at all. So, I mean, you got to think. And then definitely the poverty line, there's different amounts that it goes depending on if there's 2 people in the home, 3 people in the home, 4 people in the home. But I know when I was in the business of social work, the poverty line was $11,000 a year for a family of one, which is ridiculous. That's not even $1,000 a month. Nobody's living for that. And then they're saying that line is when you can get help. And another thing too, when you go for social services, they never go by they don't go by your net, they go by your gross. What I mean by that is they're gonna go by the money that you make before taxes come out. Well, why would you do that? Nobody sees that money. You don't see your gross. You see your net. They don't go by your net. They go by your gross. That's by grand design, because that's to keep a lot of people out. Because let me tell you something. If I can go by your gross and you need help and you fall below the poverty line and I went by your gross, what you're paying before taxes, you need the help. Whoa, do you need the help? So see what I'm saying? So there you go. You know what I'm saying? But that's our government. They're always about that ounce of prevention and pound of cure. But they're all about the pound of cure and not the ounce of prevention. So moving on, 20 million renters have had someone in the home get COVID. So that means already if you're a renter, things are hard, they're moratorium to rent out on rents, and someone in their home caught COVID, that probably was a breadwinner, or if it wasn't a breadwinner, then the breadwinner has to take time off or take off of work to care for the breadwinner or this other person in the home who has COVID. So that affects the 20 million renters that's affected. Because if you got somebody in the home who has COVID, I guarantee you, as a worker, you're affected by that. And then you got to make sure that they're quarantined in the home and all that other stuff. So there's that. Of course, who is affected most by all of this? As always, poor Asians, poor blacks, poor Latinos. Duh. Ain't nobody had to tell you that. My dude, good friend of mine, my man John, I was hanging out with him earlier. John, he watches the show, my man. You know what he always said to me? When they catch a cold, when they catch the flu, we catch a cold. When they catch the flu, we catch pneumonia. So come on, man, you know what it is. You know what it is. Minority communities, of course, are always going to be hit the hardest by all of this. Poor Asian communities, poor Latin communities, poor black communities. We going to be hit the hardest. TI is what a TI is. So that's sad. It's a tragedy. So, we need to do better. Here's the, you know what I'm saying? I've seen some signs saying no job, no rent. Seen that in different articles I was reading and stuff, and these are people obviously saying, hey, look, I ain't worked in months, I should have to pay rent, this is ridiculous. And I hear that, how are they supposed to pay rent? They haven't worked. And then people will say, go out here and get another job. Well, that's easier said than done, and right now in the COVID days, ain't nobody hiring, because ain't nobody doing no business. You got a bar, nobody's going to your bar. You got a restaurant, nobody's going to your restaurant. You got anything else? If it's anything where people have to actually stand around and be in a building sucking in stranger air, they're not there. So there's a lot of businesses that are not operating right now. What do? We need help from the government. We need a government that's not stingy and pathetic and feckless. We need a government to step up and give people the money they need to survive. Let me go ahead and just talk about that. Unfortunately, there's only 2 people that I've seen who are even talking about this, who are even talking about how Americans, are poised to lose their homes and can't eat right now and all that. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and there's another woman. Oh my goodness, I forgot her name. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk about both of them next show though. But they're the only 2 who are talking about this, and it's a shame. It's a shame. Nancy Pelosi, she had a bill, but then she's weakened that bill and took away from it. And the reason that she took a lot of stuff from it, like the extra money for unemployment and the $1,200 per person, took that away because she's gonna say, oh, we got a Democratic president, we're good right now. That's garbage. People are still out here hurting. Whatever, it is what it is. And I heard that they added that back in. Okay, there's that. But even $1,200 per person, what is that doing? You got it a couple of months ago. No. When you got places like Canada giving their citizens $8,000 a month to live so that they can live and actually quarantine in their homes like they need to do, like it should be, so that we can actually get rid of this thing. That's what we need going on here. We don't have that going on here, and that's a problem. So when they talk about that American exceptionalism, check yourself on that. Check yourself on that, man, because we got a Congress that is awfully greedy. And I think more than half of them are millionaires. So what's going on, man? Why is it you can't break bread with the American people and you already making millions? Anyway, let me move on. There's another side to all of this. Now, I was reading this article, and this guy, he's a lawyer who defends landlords. And he was talking about it's an assault on property owners. So he called it. He said this is an assault on property owners. He said some would say that the moratorium on rents and mortgages was misguided. I'm like, yeah, you would feel like this, bro, because you are an attorney that represents landlords. Well, duh, you making money, head over heels off of this whole debacle. So of course you feel like that. It's an assault on landowners and blah, 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 woof, woof, woof. And how about this? I've been a landowner in my day. I like Wayfield what he's saying. Because what do you do as a landlord? Sure, you have people, okay, you got 10 units. You got people in 7 of them who just can't afford to pay the rent anymore. They haven't worked in months. They all had jobs that COVID has destroyed basically or gotten rid of. What do? Do you kick them out? Maybe even some of them households, of course, some of them have somebody in there who's sick with COVID. As a landlord, do you kick them out? You need that unit free. You need to pay a tenant in that unit. You have mortgage on that unit to pay yourself. At the same time, these are people. They have problems. You want to be understanding. What do you do with that? You know what you need? You need a good government to come in and help you. But you can't get that here in America. What's up with that? We're coming to the end of our time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for checking out Urban Politics. I want to thank all of you who like and subscribe. Please do like and subscribe. These are some trying times that we're in. I want to impress upon everybody, please wear your mask. Because you're not necessarily just wearing a mask for your own safety. You're wearing a mask for others. Do it for other people. It ain't gonna kill nobody, go on nobody. Go in and wear that mask. Right here, Urban Politics. This is where politics lives. This is where it eats. This is where it sleeps. This is where it breathes. Like I said, like and subscribe. We'll do it again next week. Once again, I'm Phys Ed Music. See you around like a donut.